Today's video is sponsored by Slytherin Games. Thanks to them again for making videos like this possible on the channel. Hello there, this is Havoc back with another Field of Glory Empires video. If you haven't watched my previous video on 5 Empires features, I highly recommend that you do. Just follow the card that is up on the top corner of the screen. Today we'll be focusing on a unique mechanic called Decadence and, at least to me, its game-changing system for the 4X grand strategy genre. I'll go over how it functions in Empires, and then on to why I think more strategy games should adopt this style of steamroll preventative mechanic into their own titles. As always, let's dive in. What exactly is Decadence? In its most basic form, it's one side of a two-sided coin, the opposite being progress. Since both are relevant to this discussion, I will very briefly summarize progress. Your progress number in the nation panel is representative of how cultured your nation is across all regions. A nation that generates more culture than Decadence is progressing towards a higher form of government. Since your progress rating is pretty much solely generated by culture, I'll refer to it as such for the rest of this video. Now back to Decadence. With culture representative of progression, Decadence is the opposite in a way. It doesn't represent an uncultured state, rather the idea that a government cannot stay on an upward trend towards perfection forever. If you've seen my review on Empires, this was one of my biggest concerns, the ability to stay in a golden age of government. At the time of this current video, however, I have been proven 100% wrong. Decadence can and will quickly catch up to any lead you think you have over it. It's pretty much unavoidable. More like a win, not if scenario. With that in mind, let's take a look at what generates Decadence so you can understand what exactly is affecting your empire. Unlike progress, Decadence is a bit harder to calculate and has several more factors contributing to it. We'll start with some of the more minor factors. Each region you own contributes 1 Decadence point, unless it's part of an officially formed province, at which point that is half. Newly conquered regions contribute a large amount of Decadence until they are pacified, which involves, I believe, around 10 turns of various pacification levels, all of which can have a chance of revolting given the loyalty factors of the region. And lastly, various buildings in your regions can either contribute to or take away from your Decadence accumulation. I labeled those as minor factors due to the fact that they are usually the smaller of the contributions. 2 of your larger contributions are your nation's size and your government. As your nation grows, your nation's size Decadence rating will naturally grow with it. There's nothing that can be done with this rating as far as I believe, it just comes with the territory, pun intended. Your government, however, is what will really determine the amount of Decadence you are receiving. Your government can reach or descend to 15 different types. You have 3 vertical levels that come in correlation to how large your nation is, and 5 horizontal statuses within each level: young, stable, glorious, old, and decadent. As you progress or regress into these various areas of government, you'll start to accumulate a Decadence age rating in 3 of these horizontal statuses: glorious, old, and decadent. The longer you are in any of these 3 statuses, the higher your Decadence age rating will accrue. This will eventually lead to a regression as your Decadence steadily gets higher and higher than your cultural generation, in turn causing your government to regress entirely into a new government status. Let it get out of control and your government will descend into civil war, and that causes a whole new series of problems. Confused yet? I would like to create a video solely on the government types and how they progress and regress, so if you'd like me to do that, just let me know in the comments section down below. As confusing as the Decadence factors are, here's what it does for Field of Glory Empires. It limits the Empire steamroll. I've played a fair few strategy games, from turn-based, RTS, grand strategy to 4X, and very few of these have a solution for stopping your empire from steamrolling the map at a point around mid-game and beyond. Total War tried it with corruption in 3 kingdoms. Paradox tries it with aggressive expansion and tech penalties in EU4 and Imperator Rome. Heck, go all the way back to games like Rise of Nations and you'll still see that mid-game start to get out of hand. What we have with Decadence is a constant ebb and flow that will allow you to get up to the grandeur and a golden age. It will let you have your fun and your amazing benefits and all of your expansion, but that will eventually come to an end. Your government will regress. Dedicating your entire empire to culture will not solve the problem, and you will still deal with either a civil war or seeing the grandeur and the light go away, at least for a little while. In my still short campaign as Rome, I've seen the Golden Ages and I've seen the Civil Wars. I've seen a 2+ point ratio of progress over Decadence, only to fall to a 0.25 ratio. It's an extremely interesting dynamic for a grand strategy game that no doubt has some pretty legitimate mirrors to historical nations. No nation will always steamroll their way through. They may reign supreme for a time, but it always, through one method or another, comes crashing down. This mechanic, that I thought I could easily take advantage of and cheese my way through, I've lost close to half of my empire because I didn't pay attention to it and manage the downward trend as well as I could have. I paid dearly for thinking that this was something non-complex and easy to grasp. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not expanding, I certainly am. Every civil war has been overcome. I'm eking my way into Gaul and into Greece. Eventually I'll get into Africa, but it's so much slower than I anticipated it was going to be, and that's exactly the point. It's not meant to keep you from winning. It's meant to strategically slow you down and think about the where, when, why, and how to expand and manage your empire. To me, it is a fantastic mechanic that's very unique in my opinion and very well implemented by the developers of this game. That will wrap up this video on Decadence inside Field of Glory Empires. Let me know your thoughts on the Decadence mechanic. Have you gotten far enough into your campaign to feel its bite? Do you like this mechanic, and should more strategy titles implement some form of it into their games? Leave your comment in the comment section down below. I will enjoy reading them, and I know the Empires team will too. If you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up or down, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest videos, and thank you again Slithering Games for sponsoring this video. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.